Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to go over all things OBE, NDE, astral projection, channeling, cultivation practices to acquire these skills, and of course, other degrees of sensory perception, because they're all in the category of sensory perception. Psychic, medium, channel, and what are the processes to get to these states, and what do you get out of them, and where you take that to develop your own skill set. And on top of that, hang out to the end of the video, and we'll do a practice that is founded in ancient Taoist practices, the lower cinnabar field, energetic cultivation, and we'll do that at the end of the video. Enjoy the video. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for attacking the hard and strong, none can triumph so easily. It is weak, yet none can equal it. It is soft, yet none can damage it. It is yielding, yet none can wear it away. Everyone knows that the soft overcomes the hard, and the yielding triumphs over the rigid. Why then so little faith? Why can no one practice it? So the sage says, fulfill even the lowest position. Love even the weakest creature. Then you will be called the Lord of every offering, the King of all below heaven. The realization, all is one, one is all. Unifying the body with the spirit with the energy, transcending heaven to earth, creating perfection manifest. That is your gift, that is your offering. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
I was just imagining a bunch of little me's all collecting.
Collectibles. Yes. Welcome.
And there's a lot of energy in here already.
There is a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm your humble servant and Sifu, San Qing. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. Another day in paradise. A realization, moving towards a new year. How powerful that is. Always with foundational understanding of something greater. And moving into this sort of stepping from, near death, out-of-body experience, direct channeling, and understanding the fundamentals and the mechanisms that make that realized. Then dispelling this notion that there's a foundation that determines the realization of all things. That, there's a certain programming or infrastructure that's been created that goes sort of around giving you the starting point of, the dimensional concept. that, it's a multi-universe, multi-dimensional. There's 11 dimensions measured. That's reflectant of states of consciousness in your mind, blah, 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 blah. That the evolution of all things is that you must transmute and experience a reincarnation of everything, i.e., you start with, what we have perceived as the good old basics, the elements, and then you transmute into more slower frequency, light wave matter generation. So you are born as an element, nothing more than that. And consciousness then creates what you perceive as, a rock, then a plant, then an animal. And so you keep reincarnating, coming back as these things, as the premise, and I'll say premise and I'll emphasize premise because this is a perception of your own journey of reality. So it starts from the elements. Within Taoism, we have over 81 elements, but let's just say we start with a fundamental of 5, which we generally use for psychic readings. The elements. You're then reincarnated as, earth, dirt, sand, rocks, plants. You keep coming back and you keep experiencing all these things, and then you turn into an animal. And then you become a human. It's like this is the pinnacle of evolution. Again, I will stress and emphasize that. How about the idea of you are the sand and you're asking the beach, what are we doing today? Does that even make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're all part of a collective, and so this sort of construct and evolution, now there is some evidence in relation to Taoism where we use plant magic, animal magic, weather magic, talismans, star magic, the universe, the whisper of the universe that is generated. Absolutely. I'm not someone who subscribes to the norm or the general consensus. It's your experience is the only experience you need to be concerned with. So this point of evolution is so funny how humans believe they're the highest construct, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
the apex.
Right. And this is so reflected on the ego. So understand this, know this to be true. There's premise behind a lot of Eastern practices that use these sort of levels of ascension. I would say that if you gravitate to that, that's awesome. Personally, last couple hundred lives I've had before this one had nothing to do with a piece of fruit, rock, plant, or an animal of any kind. But hang on a second. The framework of this level of ascension is also with an understanding that you could come back as as a place, person, or thing thousands of times. And if you understand the multi-dimensional universe that we speak of, it's all happening at once. So you could be a plant, a rock, a dog, a human, a universe, the Hulk, Superman, all wrapped up into Stan Lee's, sweat bead on top of his forehead as he's about to draw a couple of more strokes of his last interpretation of a mega superhero from the multiverse. So with all that, know that nothing is limited. The only limitation you have is you, and your imagination is the jump-off point. So, channeling psychic mediumship, channeling, category. We talked about variables of that. So, if you're channeling information directly through you as a catalyst, a conduit, and you're speaking the words of the spirit energy that you're channeling. Mediumship is you're having a private convo with these entities, and you're translating the information to an audience, to yourself, however you choose to. And then psychic abilities is sort of reading the layers of specific things, whether it's an individual, a collective, whatever, and you're translating that into levels of clairvoyance. Whoa.
I think it's just all perception, just like we talked about yesterday, and how you're getting those messages coming in, what level they're coming in at, what language they're coming in at, whether it's visual, audible, these feelings. It's all just different levels of your perception of your consciousness.
Well, yeah, I mean, we generalize it as sensory perception because there can be so many variables, and it's all contingent on you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's where it begins and ends. So if you come to a realization, the last 20 lives you had leading up to this, you were, the wicked witch of the West, or perhaps maybe an evil sorcerer in some diabolical, prequel to Lord of the Rings, or moreover, you were a vampire from Salem's Lot, all of the above, or maybe a princess, or perhaps maybe just plain old Jane. It doesn't really matter. Understand that these are all sensory perceptions of your reality. The validation of all this stuff, no matter what you're receiving, we give you the foundational techniques to receive the material, to digest the material, to create the material from ancient practices that have been cultivated for tens of thousands of years, and that's why they're so palpable, right? So we have several different ways to get there. That's why we talk about near-death experiences like a wake-up call. Your universe, your guides, a higher consciousness is tapping you on the shoulder and going, wake the F up, brah. It's time for you to wake up and smell the coffee. Or moreover, from one of my favorite movies, Tom Cruise from Cocktail, there's a scene in there where Tom Cruise is falling asleep. He's in some sort of late night, sort of like, DeVry extension of higher education, wannabe, cash out, get paid to have a piece of paper telling you you're smarter than the next person. Academia, which is sort of like a Ponzi scheme, whatever you want to call it. In any case, he's working a bar job and he's falling asleep during the day, attempting to study to get his master's in business or whatnot. So he's falling asleep, and his professor, lecturer, teacher, blah, 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 is talking to the class, and he's sort of nodding off, and he sees him, and he walks over. And Cruz is like, and he goes, light dawns on Marblehead. And he's like, what? Wakes up. The realization just in that statement, light dawning on Marblehead, understanding that this rays of consciousness can come in many different forms. You don't need to be pronounced dead on arrival to realize you're alive. And so near-death experiences are sort of the wake-up call. Then you realize, oh my goodness, it could transmute itself into sleep paralysis sort of situation where many people find themselves transitioning from one dimension to another. Then moreover, understanding that, out-of-body experiences can be generated through an understanding, a training, a practice And you can get that way through ancient practices we teach you. But all these are dimensional shifts, right back to sensory perception. Whether you're astral plane traveling, which would be in definition what we're talking about, out-of-body experiences, that's in the same category as sleep paralysis and near-death experiences. These are all in the same category. It's realizing that your physical body is asleep, and your mind body, your energy, your consciousness is very, very awake and very connected, right? So just layering all this stuff up and coming to an understanding that there are 1,000 different ways to awaken these things within you, and know that everyone has this perception. You're going to go through your path, your journey. If you're someone who's just opened your eyes or just got a sniff of something, which we call a glimpse, and you're just like, I want to get started, I want to, where do I go? Then if you go to the internet, prepare to, have your mind sort of melted with an overload of information. So then you should use your intuitive behavior and realize that if you're on our channel, you're here for a reason, and we have more systematic processes that work well with someone who's on a journey to understand the true nature of who they are. Mm-hmm. And so that comes from practices that we teach extensively. We give you a fundamental understanding of things like quantum physics, epigenetics, and then we get into the ancient practices, Nigong, Qigong, Bagua, Tai Chi, ancient Taoist energy cultivating practices, OG, golden oldies, microcosmic orbit, lower cinnabar field, which is another one that is really more very, very much from the canons of the Yellow Emperor, which works specifically on focusing on the development of your lower dantian. These are all just practices, processes that we put together and that have been handed down from generation to generation for thousands of years. But everyone wants the secret sauce, and we hand it out to you. And it can start in the form of the Way 126, which is a visual audible experience creating a kinesthetic charge, giving you the power, giving you the ability to take your emotions and toss them in the corner of the room and go, stay, sit, roll over, play dead. I'll let you know when I want to use them again. It's understanding the separation between your personality and your divine self. And when you can quickly get there, all of a sudden, all bets are off, and now you get off to the races. You can start truly cultivating your consciousness and getting a level up for this lifetime, which can be as long or as short as you choose to, depending upon decisions that you make mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why people are really so attracted to Taoism, is because we show them and you get results. And you'll have some people that are really excited because you get results, and some people who are really not excited because you get results. And they're like, wait, I kind of just wanted to talk about this. I didn't think it was actually going to work. I didn't think I was actually going to get what I wanted. I kind of just wanted to complain about it for a while. And it's like, no, you know, and so you get some people repelled from it because you do get results. That's one of the very enticing things when it comes to Taoism and the practices is it shows you the realness and the results from it, whatever you're looking for, internal alchemy, just activating your energetic body, having out-of-body experiences, like we said, the clairvoyance, the channeling, all those different types of things. The systems are built in for the results, and be careful what you wish for.
Right.
When it comes to it.
What a great observation, Jade, is be careful. And that's just a pun on words because we don't operate in fear.
No.
But what Jade is getting at very clearly is realize that that is it. Realize all your wildest imaginations becoming your reality. Because that's what these practices do. They generate a solidified sort of framework that is second to none. And it's not questionable. It's not maybe we'll repeat it. It's repeatable. It's a repeatable processes that only builds on itself. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's the beauty. That's the beautiful part about it. When you understand that, profound things start taking place. Really profound things. So, what we've been talking about on a deeper level is getting that mastery. And, I cut right to the chase. My teachers cut right to the chase. The three pure ones, Lao Tzu. If you're really interested in acquiring a higher sensory perception, a development of metaphysical skills that you can apply to your 3D reality and get results that most people dream about, then this is the right place for you to be. Out-of-body experiences, astral projection, what we call within Taoism, shape-shifting, soul projection, soul retrieval, spirit projection. These are all things that we specialize in. We master this stuff. And so, there are certain techniques and ways to get your vibration high enough for you to obtain that skill. Because the higher the frequency, the higher the vibration, the higher the oscillation, you get to a point where there is a general process where you want to be conscious of this whole, let me break away from my physical body, let my energetic body be realized, an ectoplasm that is a tangible, palpable sort of like substance that takes place as you start to oscillate and vibrate and you pop out of your physical body. Now, most people may be experiencing OBEs without even identifying it as such.
Now I have a question, because we have got a question before. Do you consider like daydreaming or like zoning out? You're in the car and you're like, I know I was driving, but how'd I get here? An out-of-body experience, or is it? Well,
it's out of it is because you're in a trance,
right?
So your trance is a state of consciousness. That's in definition what it is. Now you can look at it from the category of hypnosis, which has such a dirty word, but in essence, hypnosis is just basically being hyper-focused. Your ability to focus on something and generate a result. That's what hypnosis really is. So you change the state. There are infinite amounts of states to be in, infinite amount of dimensions to operate in, infinite amount of possibilities. So with the understanding, the foundational understanding that all things are happening at once, you can layer out whatever your possibilities are. This, and this. Realize that, as long as you're operating in a duality, whatever you want in a positive, if you focus on the negative result, you will also receive that. So it depends on what frequency you're at, what you're generating the most energy to, and that will be realized. That's why Qigong is so powerful, because we teach you how to take this energy that is abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, and transmit it into every dimension at once, making anything that you desire realized instantaneously. Imagine this. You have a laundry list of things you want, 1 through 10. And most people sort of go, this is my bucket list. I'm going to get this done, that done, this done. Let me see what I do. I've gone through X amount of years of my life, look back at my bucket list. I've got 5 things done out of the 10, blah, blah, blah. the understanding, the fundamental understanding and cultivation will give you the ability to go, I've got 10 things I want to do, blam. They all are realized instantaneously in every dimension at once. It's a very powerful place to be. And to do that, to acquire that, is a mastery. And once again, there is no limitation. The only limitation is your imagination. Your imagination is basically hinged upon your belief system. Your belief system is this. It's your truth and the only truth you need to be concerned with. So anything is possible. And you could have that realized instantaneously, right now, right this second. Do not be framed out or limited by anything. And, this goes in the fundamental understanding of epigenetics, right? Fundamental understanding of, with the premise of epigenetics, everything is a thought, feeling, and an emotion. These are the three herbs and spices that are necessary for your reality. You generate that. You create an alchemical response with the pineal, pituitary, and thalamus, creating this chemistry that uses the culture medium, which is your blood, as a messenger to transmit that into a physical response, a mental, emotional response, and a spiritual response all at once. So this is what people need to kind of grasp, is when you're putting your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, they are having an effect in every category instantly. They're affecting their physical body, you're affecting your mental, emotional, your energetic body, and you're affecting your spiritual body. Bam. What you do with that now is up to you.
Do you think that singers, musicians, even politicians, public speakers, pastors, motivational speakers already have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to Qigong because they already have this natural ability? They might not look at it from a Taoist perspective to affect a stadium full of people, a crowd full of people all at the same time.
Well, yeah, this is a training and understanding, right? And on a very basic level, you are having a rippling effect. It's a frequency. When you know how to transmit it, and most people that are OGs of this channel, my students, clients, whatever, anyone that knows me or Jade, when we transmit something, when we speak on something, you feel it, whether it's through the camera, through a group environment, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. You're like, whoa, how is that possible? It's a training and a state of consciousness. And like anything, it's palpable. It's like your metaphysical development is no different than your physical development. So, you exercise, you eat right, you sleep right, you will have a physiological response. And with that, rippling effects are build muscle, lose body fat, get more efficient, become fitter, get stronger, more endurance. These are physiological responses to your programming. There is no difference when it comes to the metaphysical realm where you're cultivating the energetic responses. It's as palpable and it's as respondent as your physical body. So you will also be able to validate and confirm and affirm the results. And it will be evident in the recipe and the creation that you're able to validate through a higher dimension, alter this 3D reality.
Right. And when you vibrate at that high frequency, your flexing and building and contracting your spiritual muscle, and it's just morphing to whatever you want it to be: strength, power, conditioning, efficiency. Like you said, just this mastery is taking place the more and more you do it and vibrate at that high frequency.
Yeah. And it's tangible. Mm-hmm. And, everything is energy, frequency, vibration. And so sensory perception, dimensional shifts, affective change, these all come from cultivating practices that you can be conscious of and develop them. So it's just a spiritual practice is no different than a physical practice. Mm-hmm. You just need to know how to. Most people conceptually go, well, how the hell am I supposed to work my spiritual muscle? Mm-hmm. It's conceptual. It's like, what am I going to do? Casper the ghost can't lift up weights. The spiritual aspect is a reflection of the energetic. Hear my incantation at the beginning of this. Unify the body with the spirit with the energy. Unify the body with the spirit with the energy. One more time. Unify the body with the spirit with the energy. And realize that that's a reflection. So now you're able to repeat and apply this skill set. And it shows up in what are you capable of doing? Manifestation, magic, healing in this 3D reality. And you can affect change. And so some of the staples of ancient Taoist practices, I'm just revealing ones that are far more common. We have thousands of them, but ones that would be more familiar to the average Joe that might sort of like take a little gander at Taoism would be the microcosmic orbit, would be the lower Cinnabar field. These are staples and OG classics when it comes to training. And then we have, integrated internal, Qigong practices that are second to none that a lot of people are not familiar with, but will give you the level up and you will create your Mr. Miyagi effect very quickly.
Right, because like you said, it's all about sensory perception, and the bigger your sensory perception becomes and the more you awaken it and open it, the more things you just realize you can do naturally, come naturally, happen naturally, and you just go, I wasn't intending on that, but look, oh, wow, I got this amazing experience just because I kept expanding and expanding and expanding.
Yeah. And, channeling, which is another component, another sensory perception, is determined on where you're at in your own consciousness. Mm-hmm. And, you can be in a state of sensory perception that would be reflectant within a more psychological-based, psychology-based perception and go, hey, we're dealing with a schizophrenic. We're dealing with a personality disorder. We're dealing with, something a little bit more tailored, like bipolar, something of that nature. These are all states of consciousness that someone is in and they're not capable of shifting out of. It's not that they're broken. There's just not a defined, clear way for them to reset where they're at. Or they're not in they're not in the presence of someone that has the ability to show them that. And so, moreover, within Western culture, they tend to attempt to dampen these types of states by using sort of some man-made sort of drug that will shift and turn off some type of sensory. And with that comes, a numbing, a dulling, a gagging of what is really someone trapped in a dimensional shift. Mm-hmm. But, common census from, someone who comes from physiology, comes from biology, comes from psychology, would tell you that this is perhaps a hormone deficiency, which is reflectant on the alchemical response that then gives you this psychosis that you're in, that you can't get a handle of your where you're at psychologically. Now, within a Taoist practice, within Eastern culture, we have definition of these things that are a little different, and they can be lower frequency, just generally speaking. Is there always an answer for it? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it can be adjusted and changed and shifted, unlike the Western model.
Yeah.
Western model doesn't really have a solution other than subduing or dampening or gagging that energy, but not addressing how it has manifested into that person's reality, which is where we have a greater understanding, in my opinion. Again, this is not medical advice. This is not psychological advice. I'm not talking about any of these things as if I want anyone to do anything other than what they want to do, and it's always up to you. And however you believe and what you believe in your life, then follow that path. Whether it's psychology, whether it's biology, whether it's physiology, or you're into metaphysical, you're into spiritual, you're into alternative. Follow whatever path that is. That's for you to decide. No one else to decide. But that is always a perplexing part for most people, is coming to that realization.
Mm-hmm. And we look at everything as energy. So if it's an energetic disorder, we're going to heal it with energy. That's how.
Well, yeah, everything is.
That's how it's going to be approached, instead of, in the Western world, it's still an energetic disorder, but it's like, let's try to heal it with man-made medicine and stuff. And it works for whatever your mindset is set at.
Yeah. So channeling, which most people get a little squeamish with, and they get a little apprehensive and all, what the hell is that? They tend to back off channeling because most people that hear about it are afraid of being possessed by an entity and energy of that nature. I would tell you that first you start off with a framework. Let's look at it from the physicality level. Let's use the analogy. You have a front door, and you want to make sure that you can lock the front door or unlock the front door at will. Welcome visitors in, or lock them out if you choose to. And that comes in the metaphysical world, that comes in the form of incantations. Mm-hmm. Right? So you can shape and change the flow of traffic within yourself as a physical transmitter, a catalyst, a conduit, by using incantations to do exactly that. And that will determine the outcome.
I think it's just like as simple as a preference thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like, if I am a fan of a certain singer, I'm not going to buy tickets to a concert of a singer or a band that I don't like. I'm going to go, okay, I'm a fan. I want to meet this person. I want to be surrounded by them. I want to experience their energy. That's what I'm going to put my attention to and gravitate to. I'm not going to, gravitate to a particular music that I'm not a fan of. So when I think of like channeling or starting off with channeling, it's like most people come to us and they want to connect with their loved ones that have passed, or some type of family member or animal, or something that they felt love from. They felt this connection. I felt this connection to, and it disappeared too quickly, or I didn't get to resolve it. So it's like, that's a really easy way to be attracted to something that you want, instead of going like, I'm going to start channeling. I'm going to think of the scariest, darkest, deepest thing as the first starting point. It's like, no, you attract what the thing that you vibrated the highest with, whatever that past person, that essence, that energy that excites you and you feel happy with, you have that feeling with.
And, I mean, that's generally a starting point. You would probably more stay in the category of mediumship when you're wanting to communicate with the past life, the lost, the loved one, the dog, whatever it is. You'd stay in that position of mediumship. Having a communication directly with a spirit or entity doesn't leave you to a much more open sort of scenario like a channel. A channel is like, basically you're going for source.
Right.
You're going for the home run immediately, and the intention is to frame this out with an incantation, and we have thousands of them, but let's just say you use the incantation with a premise very simple, where you're speaking to a certain entity, and you want to get direct information from them and use yourself as basically the catalyst, the mouthpiece. And then all of a sudden, I do this with Latsu. He just drops right into my physical body, and then everything is very clear in my demeanor, my sound of my voice, my appearance, completely altered, and the information is far different. It's infinite. It's unlimited because Latsu is pure source. So you're going to get direct information. Like, that's when you go and ask any question you want under the sun. You'll get an answer for it directly in great detail, and it will be 1,000% accurate because it's all things. And, Latsu compared to, some other person channeling like a Bashar, whatever, it's same in relation to Bashar is Bashar, Latsu is Latsu, but you're getting direct source information, high frequency, high ascension level. So it's directly going to pertain to whatever that is, and you're going to get 1,000% accuracy every single time, and that will be evident. So, your intention is, you want to channel Latsu, for example, and you frame out an incantation, and there's certain layers that we go through to activate the exchange, where you're exchanging your physical body for the transmission, and there's a priming effect there that you generate a result. And you're not going to go and say, hey, my exchange is with Freddy Krueger. I mean, hey, listen, that's not actually, scratch that. That's not true. You may be interested in that. Look, I've had plenty of students over the decades I've been doing this that have been obsessed with the paranormal, the metaphysical, and they've been, wanting to be the master slayer, exorcist, whatever, and they play with those low vibrational energies with, unfortunately, this preconceived idea that they're higher frequency. They're not at all. And it's more, forget about some ominous definition of what that is, or more how you perceive what that energy looks like. It's what information are you getting from it? It's like, and I say this not to be sort of dismissing janitors at the local McDonald's, but you're certainly not going to go and get Bitcoin advice from the janitor at McDonald's as opposed to the head of Bitcoin,
CEO.
depot, whatever, on the stock exchange for cryptocurrency. If that makes sense, if that analogy is clear enough. So you set your foundations, you create whatever, you lay out the foundations of how you want to experience this, and then through specific techniques, we help you realize that and vibrate at that level that will be recognized. Mm-hmm. And it all starts with you.
Do you want my analogy?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like going to a fast food restaurant and expecting or trying to order like a 5-star meal. It's like you're not going to get that quality, you're not going to get that standard, you're not going to get that experience at that lower restaurant. It doesn't mean that that restaurant's bad. You just can't go there with the expectation of already experiencing a 5-star restaurant at a fast food chain.
Always here at this
Always
channel,
food.
we can always rely on Jade's analogy and having it
Hit or miss. Your perception.
better both, or a half a dozen, 1/6 of the other, or all of the above. Well said, my dear friend. Well said. So, when we look at today, we look at so the OBE, astral plane projection training, and astral plane is just the baseline. It's popping out your energetic body is one. So first you start with being able to completely basically down and sort of deregulate your physical body to a point that it is in a deep sedated state, and that comes with a certain practice. Then from there you then activate your energetic body. That's stage 2. Then you start to oscillate that, and it starts to vibrate, and you have this tingling feeling. Just as I'm waving my hands like this, you're starting to feel it already. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. I'm always here for you. And so then you have this vibrating component that then brings on the whole form of this energetic body. And then what happens is, because we've already framed it out, you start with the seed of an incantation. When you're going through these processes of training, it becomes so great that, there are many techniques to get out of your physical body. A lot of people tend to use this separation where they're going out when in actually they're going in. But let's just say for Hollywood purposes that you're going out. There's always the first time is like the exciting part where you want to separate. You want to go, I want to see myself asleep in my bed. It's so exciting. In actuality, 9.9 times out of 10 when people do that, they shit their pants and they get pulled straight back into their physical body. They think it's all exciting, then they realize, I'm dead. Well, you're not dead, but it's perceived that way in the moment. Mm-hmm. And so it's always an exciting thing initially, and then once you get past that, you get through that, and you're able to break away from the magnetic pull from your physical body, all fun and games start being taken place. And then, you start cultivating and training in it, and it becomes something that you can do at will, creating a brainwave state, creating a consciousness state where you're able to pop your spirit body, soul, energetic, out of your physical body and operate while you're still awake. Mm-hmm. And that is completely doable. It's a training, an understanding of how that's done. And again, there's no limit. So first is downgrading the physical body to an incredible state of relaxation or sleep. 2, generating an oscillation, a frequency that gets your energetic body so high in oscillation, you generate this ectoplasm that we speak of, which is a tangible thing. And then it turns into popping the physical body, the energetic body out of the physical body, and then you're off to the races. And then you go dimensions beyond dimensions, parallel, lateral, vertical. It really doesn't matter. You can go in any direction, and you're going to obtain a first person, third person, no person experience that will be realized.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Way 126 app is really important, because it starts you off with the baseline of regulating your emotions, where, a lot of people are going into these OBEs, I guess you could say unregulated, where that emotional content starts to creep in. And it's like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I'm dead. I can't move my body. I'm this, I'm that. And it pops them back in, or it only gives them a really limited amount of time in this OBE because they're still stuck in the emotional state. Whereas when, you use the 126 up, you start to regulate that, you realize that you have control over your emotions when you want to experience them, when you don't want to experience them. It just helps elongate that time and really get you out there quicker, because you're not having such a reactive state the very first time you do it, or a reactive experience every time you're out.
Very good point, Jade. Yeah. So the emotional state becomes irrelevant because you can initially set the incantation before you go to sleep.
Right.
And you go through these gradient changes of sensory perception, and you get what you want, and you don't realize it because it's so vivid, it's so palpable that you're in a transition, or you transition to the next dimension, and then that means that you think you're awake. Like this has happened to me quite a few times over the years, not now, but like when I was a newbie, and I think I'm awake until I get up out of my bed and I go walking to open the bathroom door, and you go through the wall. And that framework can be determined by so many different things. So, but Sifu, you said you got up and walked on the floor. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, as you are actually moving, you shift your grade of sensory perception up another notch, where you now move away from even the physical form. So you're going from first person, third person to no person, and that no person would be no more of the first person view, and you literally shift out of it where something would be more tangible in a lower frequency level, that you go higher, and that's where you fall through things and you're not able to grasp them, even though you can look at yourself and go, but I'm awake, it's physical. And then all of a sudden your arm goes through the wall. This shifts even higher, and that's where you can either have a wake-up call where you framed it out so you don't react, or when you do react, the emotions attach to the magnetism of you and draw you right back in. So there are many variables.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just like you said, it's like a training system. It's just a mastery. And the more that you kind of train your sensory perception, one of them being controlling your emotions, then that allows you to focus on all the other things that you want to do when you're out there, instead of, constantly being pulled by that or controlled back by that.
And that's, the real kicker. And so always remember the lie, the fallacy is your emotions. And if you are using fear as a catalyst, anger, any of the above, you're in a psyop. It's not real. It's a simulation. Understand that, know that to be true.
Yeah.
When that comes to fruition, all bets are off. So that shift to change an OBE is critical. How you get there, it's practices and cultivation that we train you in. And then from that state, you can now apply that sensory dimensional shift in your 3D reality at will with your eyes open, generating manifestation, generating magic, generating healing. This is a foundational point. And so the energetic stuff like, microcosmic orbit, internal infinite Wuji, Jing body, lower cinnabar field, these are all powerful. Embryonic breathing, primordial breathing, these are all powerful techniques that are integration of Nigong Qigong into the processes, the ancient Taoist practices that generate the result. And then you become a master of healing, magic, manifestation, all realized in this 3D reality.
And that's where you start to create any reality that you can. I mean, as we say over and over again, you're only limited by your imagination.
Right. Wow. I think we went over a lot today.
Yeah.
What the biggest message here is to not be trapped by someone else's perception of their reality. Don't be trapped by someone else's story. Create your own story. Know your imagination generates that. Know your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. There are techniques to get there. Multi-dimensional shifts are critical. Your awareness to that is critical to your realization affecting a 3D reality. These are all components. And we use techniques that will get you there, ones that have been around for thousands of years, handed down to millions of people, generation after generation after generation. And that's where we have the secret sauce. We're second to none, baby. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that's where the results come in, and some people get very excited about it, and some people get a little freaked out because they're like, I didn't think this was gonna happen. I wanted it to happen, but I never actually thought it was gonna happen. And now what?
Yeah, that's exactly right. With that said, any thoughts, feelings, or emotion in closing before we do a little exercise? We'll give you a little sample of the old lower cinnabar field activation. It'll start with an audible, inaudible pairing, like a psalmonier. So we're going to do the audible and inaudible. So I'm going to do an audible, then I'm going to do an inaudible, and you'll be like, is this Marcel Marceau? Are we looking at Charlie Chaplin? What's going on? Is this just... And even with that said, there's a palpable energy with that.
Yeah, there is.
So realize that audible and inaudible, it has a frequency, energy, vibration. Always remember this, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies. And so with that, I'm going to use the sound, a sound that will then have a rippling effect. It's like I will hold that sound, because within Mandarin, I use this, there is, pronunciation. And so how you pronounce things, we have 5 tones within Mandarin that have a whole different meaning to one word. And so that's why it's really important to realize that everything has its place, no matter what it is. Nothing is left to waste, not within Taoism. So I'm going to just create a sound, and then I'm going to do it inaudibly. Then we're going to breathe, and then we're going to encapsulate that power. Then we're going to hold it and then permeate it into that lower cinnabar field, which is basically the lower dantian, and it's sort of a gravitational pull to that 81 chamber area, and it is palpable. That's a first realization as a Taoist practicing badass. You need to feel the energetics. You have to feel it. So with that said, eyes open or closed, using those sensory perceptions, I'm going to create a tone. You will feel that ripple through your physical body. It's like a surging chill. And then I'm going to do it audibly, and then I'm going to do it inaudibly, and you'll be like, I felt it more inaudibly than I did audibly. What is going on here, Sifu? You're welcome. And then we're going to breathe 3 times, in and out, in through the nose, out through the mouth, short on the inhale, longer on the exhale. 3 times. Last time, hold your breath for 9 seconds on the exhale, and then let it express itself. Okay? So whenever you're ready, find a comfortable position, eyes open or closed, sensory perception open or shut. And without any further ado, we will continue. Let it build. Breathe in. Breathe in. Last one, breathe in. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Oh my goodness. Let that express itself in that contact high. Bobbleheads are us. Oh yeah. Let that just transmute through your whole physical body. Let the heat come in. Let the expansion come in. Let the knowing come in. I want to thank my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade. And I want to thank you, the audience, for sharing your time with us today. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, San Qing. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to go over all things OBE, NDE, astral projection, channeling, cultivation practices to acquire these skills, and of course, other degrees of sensory perception, because they're all in the category of sensory perception: psychic, medium, channel, and what are the processes to get to these states, and what do you get out of them, and where you take that to develop your own skill set. And on top of that, hang out to the end of the video, and we'll do a practice that is founded in ancient Taoist practices, the lower cinnabar field, energetic cultivation, and we'll do that at the end of the video. Enjoy the video.